Hello, hello, hello. Howdy, folks. The Booknook's done. The Booknook is done. I've done test prints. It's looking pretty good. Although I will say one thing did occur on the previous stream. I think I made a comment to the effect of I'm going to design it with glue because adding tabs has a lot of tolerance issues and stuff, and if you haven't got glue, I can't help you. And it turns out I didn't have any glue, so I printed the vast majority of it off. Could have sworn I had super glue somewhere, did not. So I've actually just stuck it together today, and it's currently drying downstairs. There's a couple of things I want to change from doing the fit up, but actually, to be honest, it came together a lot better than I thought it would. Normally I thought, oh, I'll do first fit, and it'll be a bit like, all right, okay, there's a couple of things that definitely need changing. To be honest, the only real thing I think I want to change is maybe just add a little bit of like flooring out the front, like a little bit like path, so the vending machines can like stick down to something. Because I realised pretty quickly that, well, you know, you'll probably stick the shelves in, you'll stick the fridges at the back here in. But then these little guys are just kind of sat there, and I thought, well, if I had a little bit of like paving at the front, and it's a little bit of detail, with some like, you know, cracks in the pavement and the like, you could use that to stick these down, which I think would just help keep everything together as one thing rather than it being a bit like loose, because those loose bits are just going to go flying, aren't they? They're going to sit in your bookshelf, and then they'll go missing in short order. So the other change I made is I had originally talked about doing these letters as individual prints, and then I thought, why not I just make it a lot easier and then cut the letters out of the inner of the sign. So now the sign prints as a frame, and then you print this in a different colour, and then that can slide in, well, can stick in. And then as long as you print the back and this part in different colours, then the text stands out anyway, and these characters do say Teddy Mart. I've had it confirmed. So either it's right or it's wrong, and I'm being tricked by AI and real people, which is entirely possible. But yeah, so I don't want to do much on this today because I'm just waiting for those prints to finish and to get the prints are finished, but then to get it all glued up. So I don't really want to waste any time. Oh, I've not done the roof here. I've not included the roof, have I? We don't need to worry. You've seen it before. So I don't want to make any changes to this now because I feel like it could just be a bit of a wasted time. But I thought today we could possibly design something a little bit different. Something new. Just get my iPad open so you can see the screen. So let's go onto the iPad screen. Now I'm on a new computer here, so if anything explodes when I hit these transitions, bear with me. Worked first time. So I was thinking about these vase concepts here, which I think are pretty cool. Actually, this one here, this one with lamp ? Curly arrow, I actually have done that. Well, something similar to it already. I made it last week, so that's actually on my MakerWorld page if you want to go look it up. Abstractia design on MakerWorld. But I'm thinking, let me get the laser pointer out. Thinking this one. I think I want to have a go at designing this. Now, could be a disaster. Could be something that is more tricky than I think it's going to be. But it's got a nice bit of like surface modelling in there. And the idea is it'd be like a little bit of a two-part design. So we'll do this bit as one bit, and then this bit here as another bit. And then we printed in two different colours. And this pink bit here, which won't be pink in the real thing. It's just, there's only 4 highlighter colours in Goodnotes. So you go with what you got. That acts as like a bit of a shroud. I think I might actually like to put a bit of an angle on here I don't know, but we'll see. But why don't we give that a go? And start with a clean plasticity slate. I feel like, well, I've actually never had a clean slate on plasticity on a stream, so let's get at it. So, new file. Do I want to clear the window? You're damn right I do. Right, so the first thing I tend to do when I do a new file is I tend to stick a 180mm line, just to give me a little bit of a sense of scale. And I'd pick 180mm because that's the height that the A1 Mini can print at, which I think, being the cheapest printer, is probably the one with the most adoption. It doesn't mean everything fits an A1 Mini, but having that as a line just gives me a rough estimate. If a design doesn't look like it's going to work in that size, then so be it, but it's a good initial scale. So the base design, I think I'll start with that a shroud bit first. I think, yeah, we'll do the outer shroud bit, and then I think what we can probably do is probably take that outer shroud and copy it and shrink it slightly to give it as the basis of the inner part of the vase. I have no idea how long this will take me to model. Sometimes when I'm surface modeling, things happen pretty quickly. Other times I hit walls and I have to come back to them another time. But we shall see. That is why doing stuff live is both exciting and an excellent way to make myself look like an idiot. So I've pressed shift here to get a little guideline from the middle. I'm just going to use this 180mm line as the base of the scale, and then we can scale it up if we need to later. But I know that if I go to the middle of this line, this curve that I do is going to be perfectly symmetrical. So we'll go from there and there, and then we know that this curve, I can already tell I want a bit more on that. God, these are, on this new computer, these lines seem very dim compared to my old one. I wonder if there's a setting for the thickness of the curves, but now is not the time to be delving into preferences. The quick way to make things explode. So let's revolve this. We'll revolve it around the Z, or the Z. Right, so that can act as a starter shape for our outer carapace shell. If you see me looking across the right, it's because I'm looking at my iPad where that sketch was. Right, let's give this a go. So let's just add something that feels like an attractive swooping curve. And this is where we just have to go with the vibes. 100%. Do I want it to come back to the middle? I think I might not actually. Let's do that. And then let's go into points mode and grab this one and bring this one across. And this one across. And then this one across. Now I'm going to pull this line out so it's actually in front of the model. I will start having the keystrokes on from the next stream. I have found an app that I like how it actually looks, because the ones I've tried look terrible, and that was annoying me. So what do we think about this? I think it's okay. So this is the line that I'm thinking about for the curve of like the external part. Yeah, so let's cut. Let's cut this. Oh, what's going on there? Inside the size box. I've never ever seen that error before. Well, not an error, but yeah, let's just imprint the curve instead. I do not know what that was all about. Bring this to the middle. So I'll do the other side too. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm just imprinting some edges because the cut didn't want to work. can pick this, delete it. Although I actually will not delete it. What I'll do is pick it, Shift D to duplicate it, hide it because I might want it later. Yeah. Should we see what happens if we pull this up? Because, yeah. I definitely don't want that. I don't want a point, but I do want... What I'm going to actually do, though, is I'm going to pull it up to a point, set it. What I prefer would be a bit of a smoother transition, so I'll use the Bridge Curve command. And basically, it's taking this line here and this line here, and it's doing us a nice little tangent G2 curve. So now I should be able to cut this body. Boom! There we go. So, what do I think about that? First of all, turn X-ray mode off because visual busyness makes my brain hurt. So yeah, I quite like that. Let's get the original curve back. Let's offset it. Yeah, I'm thinking, is it best to offset it and rotate, revolve it, or... No, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually just going to revolve this. This, and then I'll pull it in a little bit. So this can form the basis of the main vase area, and straight away I can 100% tell what I want is an angle here, but do I want curved angle? Yeah, I think I do. Let me just get up the reference image again. So I can have a little look. Right. So if we cut that, how do we feel about that as a vase? I want that to be even more aggressive. The whole thing, thank you. Point, grabs a... Let's try bring this one down as well. Actually, you know, I think I do want that. I mean, actually, I'm overthinking it because ultimately this can all change. I can get to where I like it, have a little look and be like, you know what? No, it needs to be higher, and just effectively I just pull that out, which is something Plasticity is really good at. It's really good at knowing that what you want is this to continue with the curve that it has and with the profile that it has. So you can quite easily do a go back on yourself. Right, let's thicken this just to make it solid, because currently it is a sheet which cannot be 3D printed. Oh, just realised I'm in meters. New computer. So let's change the preferences. Oh, is it on the side? Yeah, it's on the side. So I've actually made this as 180 meters, but not a problem. Units. We want millimeters. Boom. I did think things looked a bit odd. Got some odd flickering on the stream there. Yeah, I brought the grid, haven't I? Let me just reload this. Well, I'm gonna have to fix the grid afterwards. I'm not sure what's happened there when I've done my scale. This is the joy of a new computer. I actually have not modelled anything on this machine. Literally unboxed it yesterday. We've spent all day setting it up, and all yesterday as well. Right, thicken. So let's go 3 millimeters. Oh, of course it's too big, isn't it? Right, so we need to scale this down. So scale 0. Yeah, let's scale everything down to 0.1, is it? Or is it 0.01? 0.01, isn't it? So actually, yeah, here comes, I'll do 180 millimeter line rather than 180 meters. Yeah, our scale was a bit out. But that explains why the grid looks weird, because the grid is just really small and I'm really zoomed out. So let's get rid of that line and add ourselves a new 180 millimeter line. It's still too big. But right, so now I'm going to make the grid size 5 millimeters. No, the grid size 120 still, but a line every 5 millimeters. Don't know why, feels good. So right, back at it. So thicken, and now I'll be able to thicken it 3 millimeters, which is tends to be 3,000 millimeters. That's why. Oh, I've got caps lock on. There we go. Did not know actually if you do Shift M, it counts as meters on here. Right, just putting a fillet on there just to get a feel for it, but I'm actually not going to put that on yet because I'll only have to remove it if I want to make some adjustments. So let's then thicken this too. Oh, actually I might as well add a bottom on. Shift J to close that hole. Don't want -3 because I want it to come in 3. Oh no, it's the other way around, isn't it? Because I don't want these to intersect with each other, you see, so I need them to both thicken in the same direction. So we can use this section analysis tool up here to do a little like look through, otherwise known as a section analysis. Yeah, I've got plenty of clearance, so we're all good there. So now what we need to think about here is I want these to print in 2 parts because I want the option for 2 colours. Now this will not stand, and nor will it print. Well, it would print if you had a really good, well, it wouldn't, I'd have to cut the bottom off, but you'd have to have a really good, clean print bed, and it would be an act of blind hope that this would stay vertical when printing. So I think a good idea here would be if we were to take this and add a bottom to it. So let's try that. So if we come under here, let's add a bottom. Now, yeah, get away with coming down, can't I? Because we're actually a little bit above anyway. Press Control to snap to there. So that gives us a bottom. So this would now, these 2 things here would be all one piece. So that would print fine. He says with great confidence. But I'm going to be completely honest, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And that is because I feel part of why this looks good, well, part of why I like this design, it's quite like this feeling. Like it's this slender, skinny, freestanding thing. And having that base, to me, kind of deletes that from your head. It doesn't look as good. So what we could do is, yeah, I've got an idea. So let's just shrink this down a little bit. Like this. And what I'm thinking is now obviously we've reduced the contact area here for printing, but I think this will be fine. And to be fair, we've actually quite a lot more room if we wanted. If we put in a rectangle here, like this, what we could do is take this down here, and then I'll just bring this up to there, and then bring this. Ooh. Oh, it's the right. Let's get rid of those curves. What I actually need to do is not extrude. Let's get rid of this temporary plane too. So if we select this face and pull it down, yeah, see how it continues to take the curvature of the surfaces above it, which is really like handy here. I should not be moving that backwards and forwards because that's making the processor go scream. So if we then snap that to there, what we've effectively done is added a few millimeters to the bottom of the vase. But we can now, so actually let's just join these together. Hide the vase first. Join those together. And then I'll cut this end bit off. Actually, I'll just pull it in. Just pull it straight in like that. And now, if we bring the main vase part back, let's get rid of these curves because we don't need them anymore. So we've built this little tab situation. Wow, this thumb control spins things on this computer as well. That's annoying. These are the little things that unfortunately spend absolutely ages faffing with when I'm got a new computer. But I had to get a new computer because as great as my other computer is, I couldn't edit any video on it, and I want to edit video, that's why I'm on here. I've really been enjoying doing it. Let's not do that, actually, let's bring that in. And bring these sides down, and then we just do a clean cut so they're at the same point. So I'll draw a line across here, and I'll cut. Now I've got a clean interface between those two parts. So I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to put it in a group. I'm just going to call the group backups. And I like to keep backups of parts when I'm going to join them, just in case I need to come back. Because sometimes with plasticity not being parametric, sometimes you're just a bit like, wow, it would have been a lot easier if I just hadn't joined those. Because now I've realised it would be ideal to have not joined them. But we can join these now because we've got a backup. So yeah, so now I've got this little tab at the bottom, acts as a good point of contact for the 3D printing bed, and it also can act as a tab for the vase to sit over. So let's pick the vase, and no, I am going to do a backup of this as well, actually. Possibly because when this finishes, if I get this finished quick enough, I quite like reusing geometry to try some new designs, so maybe we'll design something else, but we'll see how this goes first. Yeah, but we want to keep. So, right, let's add some fillets in here just so we can do one easy push to give us some tolerance for the tab to sit in, because currently that would be really tight. Actually, I don't want an inner. I do not want an inner fillet now I think about it, because that cuts into where we've just made the tab. So I'll just manually select these. And the ultimate thing of tolerance is how honestly, this is circular, so you've got double what you're putting on. So I'm going to do 0.15. Do I want to do 0.15? Minus 0.15, which will give us 0.3 tolerance gap, which I think would probably be too big. Actually, it'll be very loose, but we'll see. Every filament's different. I wish it was just a case of going, oh yes, it's 0.1, that's a press fit, and that can for a lot of things. I mean, I've got plenty bone charges which rely purely on press fit tolerances on MakerWorld, but it ain't as simple as that. Like, different filaments have different expansion ratios, and so I tend to start, if something's circular anyway, so you've got both sides to account for in the tolerance, I tend to do 0.15. And then, because this doesn't actually have to be a full press fit, because the vase is going to sit on it. Just adding some fillets to these edges here, so we've got less chance of little knuckles on the straight edges when it prints. Well, that's pretty quick. I think what I'll do is I'll select all these edges here and we'll try a full fillet. Yeah, cool. So that makes everything nice and smooth. I'll try the same here. Excellent. So what do I think about this? Do I like it? I think I do, actually. I think what I will do though is pinch a little bit more contact on the bed. Just put a nice fillet in there. Now, one downside of this design is what I've actually done is massively reduce the contact area of this vase. But out of the two, this had nothing and this had lots. So I've definitely given more back to the carapace part here, the outer base, compared to the vase. But what I can do is put an outer brim on this to make up for the loss here. So I'm not too concerned about this. Now, it will need a little bit of support under here, I assume, but it should be fine. So yeah, I quite like that. Let's have a little look in the render view. Let's turn off the edges. I put some materials on it. Let's just put white plastic here, and should we put another white plastic there, but we'll make this something like that. But my god, that's shiny. Yeah, I'm a fan. So should we see what else we can make with these parts? Now, another thing I might want to do with this actually is I think this could actually make a really cool lamp. I don't have all my files right now, so don't have, when I design lamps, I have a pre-designed mount which I've designed previously that I know fits the Bambu lighting kit perfectly, and I like to just insert that in my designs. I don't have all my old files on my new computer yet. They're all copying over in the background, so I don't have that to slip in here. But I think this could make quite a cool lamp. Like, if we have the LED in the bottom and you had this in a dark filament, like a matte filament that didn't transmit any light, and then had a transparent PLA with a fuzzy skin on here, it could be quite nice. I think it'd have to be scaled up. Yeah, and actually let's have a little look, just see what the base is. Size wise, because I think it's 62 millimeters. The yeah, so it would need scaling up quite a lot. So if we wanted the base where the light would be, let's just set this 69, just so we've got some like border around it, because then it also lets me put in a coloured diffuser, which actually let me get on my my Maker World profile. I'll just get it loaded up first. I'll just show you an example of what I mean by putting a coloured diffuser in. Yeah, here we go. So, Chrome. I'm not even logged in on this new computer. We really are doing this live. Yeah, so this is like one of those cases where you have an outer, one colour, and then it's actually just a really simple like spiral vase mode coloured tube that sits in the middle. And then it sits on top of where the LED is, so you get this really nice two-tone effect. So that would be pretty good on this. Because we could, if we scaled this up enough, you could do a similar thing in here with a shrunken down version of this, and then you would end up with like a two-tone effect, which could well work. But let's see what we think about these shapes, because I feel like we could do some other interesting things with them. I'm gonna put that in a group, and I'm gonna do finished vase. I'm going to hide it. So whatever we do to this, we still got that. Now, first thing is, what do we think about mirroring this? Yeah, we're let's get rid of these curves. So we bring the point of that being widest to the center line. Actually quite similar to a lamp I just designed last week. That. Let's make a duplicate and scale it up. Yeah, this is better. Yeah, oh, this thumb is doing the swirlies. Now, I think if we were to mirror these two things across here, see, I don't like that. Do not like it. So is it because it's too far from the middle? Or is it just a bad idea? Better. So now obviously this is not relevant here. This is entirely going to have to be a different thing. But and I mean, this is a lot of, like, as you saw at the beginning, like I've got doodles there of designs that I've just doodled on my iPad when I've been having a bit of think. But honestly, a lot of the time I do those and then I come into Plasticity and I design what I've designed and I look at the shapes, especially with Plasticity with surface modeling and like flowing surfaces and flowing shapes. And quite often like inspiration comes then. It's a little bit like, oh, right, yeah, actually those shapes spark an idea. And that's kind of what's happening here, because you see that shape and I think, oh, it's a bit like a petal. Right, well, what do petals do? Well, they stack outwards. But let's bring this down so it all intersects at the same point at the bottom. I'm just going to try something. This definitely will not work, but sometimes it's just good to delete the idea from your head by doing it. I'm going to rotate it a little bit, and I'm going to set the point at the bottom here, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of tilt. Yeah, actually, do you know what? I quite like that. Now, obviously, we'll have to correct the bottom here. We can get rid of this other half because we don't need it now. Kind of want to get that spacing a little bit better. So if we rotate again. What's it on? The Z, the blue axis. Yeah. When I was just looking at that in great detail, like doing this, when I've watched streams back to just, you know, check audios and stuff, I've realised there's a lot of this when you're 3D modelling, which is an incredibly glamorous way to put yourself on the internet. Just be squinting like this for 1 hour and 40 minutes straight. But that is how art is created. So let's join these together and then we can cut. Or do I actually want to bring this out a little bit? Yeah. Yeah. So we'll join these together. Now, the age-old had keep tools ticked, which means I've got 2 of those. So I'm going to cut the bottom off. It's useless anyway. It's a load of nonsense. We can rebuild. Oh, of course now actually, let's just do a few undos here just to go, you know. Fillets. I think I do actually need to rotate this a little tiny little bit, don't I? That's another face. Non-stop. Right, let's just go with it. Cut the bottom off. Now, this is just temporary, this bar, and genuinely the only point of this is so I can re-merge them together to make them one. Just makes it a bit easier to handle, because I'm not going to move them any further, just means that now they're all one. It just makes it a bit easier if I want to do some other stuff with it. And those faces, due to how fantastic plasticity is, those faces are very easy to get rid of. So it's not like I've added a load of work. Right. So should we go back to trying these mirrored? Now, they're going to now touch. So I moved them. Yeah. I won't join these 2 parts together yet. But what I will do is I'm going to steal this bit of geometry here, because ultimately what we've got here is the interior curve. So if I offset that, I know that I've got the same curve, so it'll fit in there, but I'll have clearance. So I'll revolve that round, not round that. I'll revolve that round Z. I think what I also like to do is take these 2 lines and then I'll offset them in so they connect. I can't do them both at one time. What's going on there? Oh, it's because they're on a curve. So scale Y0 to make them flat. Scale Y0, make them flat. Let's select them both. Pull them out a bit so I can see them. Can we do them both at once now? Yeah, they both got the same direction, so that's no use to anybody. So what I'm doing is I'm stealing this line just for a nice like flow. And yeah, let's bring that to there. And then mirror it across. Now will these... No, they won't, so I need to bring it a little bit further. Get rid of that one, and get rid of that one, and get rid of that one. Yeah, so what I wanted was them to cross over. So effectively we could cut this like V-neck shape into the vase part there, so it kind of mirrors the bits that are surrounding it. We just extend this. This was a command that was added relatively recently that's really handy. Extend curve, but it does sometimes struggle with really curvy curves. So let's just go for it. Yeah, using the spline tool effectively means that it'll find near enough a tangency. So if we now Shift I and imprint it, and then we can delete that face. Now we have not fitted in there. So how's that? Oh, right, okay. That's fine. What we can do is we can just pick these. And shrink it down. Let me just do a section analysis here just to see. Yeah, we're all good. Got plenty of room. Now let's do 3 because we want it to go inwards. Get away with bringing that down, or will that now intersect? Oh, I can. I think I prefer, just hide that a second. Yeah, I think I prefer that, and then we can cut the bottoms off. This is the perfect chance to use F, delete redundant topology, get rid of all that. So now we can just select this as one thing. Yeah. Now, it's certainly unique. Let's just get all these joined together. So we can have them as one piece. This is a really rough way of adding a base, but it's what I'm doing. Cute. Just extruding that up, and when it goes blue, it means you're in union mode. So that's now added a bit of thickness to that bottom. just really add in these just so those two pieces on the side are one in the software, just for now. Just makes it a lot easier to manipulate them when you've not got like 5 different pieces at a time that you're trying to move around. So you do the same as we did with the other one. Like take these 2 parts and basically make 2 little tabbed parts on the inside here for it to sit in, which I think might be the idea, might be the play. But let me I just want to try a couple of things. So if we rotate and then we'll set the point to there. Now this will not work, but I'm just wondering if we were actually there's a couple of things there I want to have a look at. So I'll just put everything back to how it was, duplicate these, group them, and I'm just going to call these side by side shells, and then I'm going to hide them so I know I'm not moving those ones. Right, let's just see what it looks like if we were to take these and on the Z-axis just rotate them so they're a little bit more like open to the bars rather than fully encapsulating it. I actually think I prefer that. Yeah, I actually do think I prefer that. So we've got this, so let's group those and call that twisted shells because we twisted around the Z. So we've got that as an option. And we've got that as an option. Actually, maybe I do prefer that. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I can do both of them. It's not an either or. But let's start. We get this little tabbed bit built, then I can actually test print them, because currently this wouldn't be worth doing. Now I think because how these are, I'll have to print these as 2 parts. Why? Because if we do a section, yeah. So if we were to select this and imagine you had your outer part and it was a single thing that we'd printed, and then you had to put this inner bit in, which we think will be a different color or a different material, etc. It's going to interface. You're not going to be able to actually bring that down into there. Whereas if you do 2 parts, you could bring one up from underneath and then another one up from underneath. Now, I'm not going to go straight like that either, are they? This might have to just be 1 part. Now, this is one of those bits where you go like, all right, a multi-material system, you could say, right, we'll just print the middle bit red and the outer bit blue or whatever. But the problem there is that will literally take a day and a half. It'll have to do a color change every single layer, and it's just a no-go. Like for me personally, anyway, I'd never designed for the AMS for that reason. But maybe this is just one that we just go. This is a singular. The other thing we could do is we could do each one of these as their own. And then what would happen is each one of those would slot into some things on the bottom here. But I don't fancy that in terms of it being, one, easy for users, and obviously I commercially license all these products out, so it's a bit like, it needs to be robust, and I don't think that would be very robust, and it needs to be easy for people to print, and that would have 6 things with these small narrow parts that when I have to clip into something here, the alignment would never be right. Nah, that's a no-go. I think printing this is all in one. It's just an interesting vase. What I will do though is I'm going to just try without the outer one. So I'm just going to cut this here. That's going to do a load of other cuts and all, but we're just going to see how we get on. Hide that. Oh no, we didn't want to hide that one. Oh yeah, we've cut the inside out as well. But was too far over. Just keep it simple and do a cut here. Right. All I want to do here is just have a little look at what I think with 2 versus 3, and I think I prefer it. So all that effort earlier around adding a 3rd one, yeah, I prefer that. Yeah, I definitely prefer that. So we'll bring that in. We can take that surface away. I'm just going to delete that. And I'm going to bring this over as a mirror. So it's Alt-X, snap it across. Yeah, it's so much better. So much better. Sometimes it's just a little bit less is better. It feels like, oh yeah, the more little like petal parts, it looks good, but that just, especially with that V-neck like plunge on the vase there, all those lines converging. The 3rd one was a little bit twisted out, so it didn't feel quite as good. Yeah. But yeah, let's do this as one print. So because we're going to do it as one print, I can actually make these surfaces here a bit bigger because they're more contact area, more good for 3D printing. Yeah, wicked. So just might as well delete that, and then we can just mirror this one over. Could, if I wanted to do the whole multicolour thing, what we could do is make this thicker and have them slide in. You know what, let's actually just try that. Let's just give that a go and see what we think. I'll do some test prints and we'll decide whether it was a great idea or a terrible idea. Now what it's going to require though is just to build a lot of that base up in here. So let's just go straight on and do surface analysis. Not surface, I don't want that surface. I want surface analysis, not from the selected surface, straightforward. So I want to make this surface have enough, because what I do is I'll extend these out, these side parts. So we need a bit of a like area for the slotting to occur. Yeah, cool. Right, let's just get this individual, and I'm actually going to add a little bit of a dovetail angle to this just to keep things a little bit more snug. And I want a downward pointing one. So let's bring these up using grab. Let's just just make this flat first, just it'll make it a little bit easier to do the imprinting. Yeah. So now we can just bring parts back. Just leave them there like that. And let's unisolate, go back to this front view and put on section analysis again. Now, yeah, we've got quite a lot more, haven't we, to go, so yeah, I think that's pretty good. Now it's going to mean there's going to be some supports here. Just as well I did that, because I've just noticed that when we sliced that earlier, we split that apart, didn't we? So let's just join. Super. So now we'll take this vase and we will take this vase and we will subtract the edge, sorry, not the vase. And we get that nice dovetail part, but I want to keep the tools because I still want this side part. Right, so let's take this surface and this surface and this surface and just pull them up minus 0.1. I want this to be a bit snugger. Yeah, so that's definitely going to need a little bit of support, but that's fine. Don't mind supports as long as it's on parts which are not visible. When they're visible, that's when it just gets really, really messy. Have I lost my part? I have. There we go. This is why you need to read, why you need to name things. Why you need to name things? Well, sometimes I just don't. So now we can mirror the vase itself because it's the same. What's this cheeky little thing here? It's that cheeky little thing. Ah, right, it's where they interface. But actually that's quite good because it seems daft, but it means that there's a point where you'll be able to know they've locked together properly. But let me actually then just check. Let's bring this up to about here. Yes, there is actually a little bit of interface in there, so let's think how it's best to deal with this. But the cold hard reality is it actually doesn't matter because let's cut that bit out, but yeah, let's just mirror that across. And then this one too, because you don't see it because when the thing's clicked in, yeah. And if that wasn't there, they wouldn't click in properly. So that's actually, in the grand scheme of things, initially it looks like it's not good, but it's all right. So, yeah, I quite like that. So we've got the side-by-side ones. Actually, let's just join these together. And this one we will be able to do the multicolour with, so that's pretty good. So let's bring them over there. And then let's have a look at our other ones. Yeah. So I think there's actually something to that as well. I won't do it, but I think having the other angle go that way could be quite good as well. But no, we won't do that now. Still actually think my favourite one's the first basic shape, but we've effectively made two really. I think I'll only do 2 of them. Yeah, it just gives you a bit of an idea of how like you can start off with a sketch and then effectively you end up just exploring the shapes a little bit. So yeah, I think that's been pretty good. I'll give these a test print tonight and we'll see how we get on. I'll do my normal shill. If we go to Abstractia Design on Maker World, you can see I've got, ooh, should we have a little look? 643 designs on there over 18 months. All available under a single commercial license. So if you like any of the designs you see on there and you want to sell them in your Etsy store, knock yourself out. Just pay for the subscription, please. Don't steal, because I do hunt them down. Actually hunted somebody down yesterday who had the audacity when I asked them to take the stuff down. They realised that they'd been caught, but had the audacity to then ask me to troll their store to tell them which of the things they were selling they'd stolen from me. I was like, so your entire store is stolen stuff? Anyway, the store's now closed because at that point I just put all the requests in and they're gone now, but that is what happens. Unfortunately, there will always be people who get away with it, but quite a lot of stores get shut down every month because Maker World scans, informs you, and actually the community is incredible as well. The community comes and says like, oh, is this person stealing this? And you know, a lot of the times it's not, it's people who are licensing, and I check the database of licensees and it's like, no, all's fine. But every now and again, naughty boys and naughty girls, and they get done. So if you like designs, you want to sell them, it's a hell of a lot of work for not a high monthly fee. Take a look. And there is actually a lower tier as well. If you just like the work and you want to support it, you can do that as well. It doesn't have a commercial license attached, but you know, if you just like the work and you like the streams and things like that, you can just chip in a bit every month. In addition to that, on even more shilling, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, press the button, do all the business, feed the algorithm so the algorithm can feed me. But yeah, I've got quite a lot of subscribers over the last few days. Well, I say quite a lot, it's not like I'm Mr. Beast, but quite a lot of new subscribers over the last few days, so that's really, really good. So thank you to all you people who subscribed, who obviously have seen the VODs and stuff like that. But yeah, we're on the chase to 400. And then that means I can do the initial stage of monetization, which helps make all of this more worthwhile. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will be streaming again on Tuesday. And the renders and the photos and the upload for the Booknook will be going up on Monday or the weekend, depending on how things go. So you'll get to see the final thing, and we'll get to stick it up on Maker World. You can print it and download it yourself. And then these Vase things, they'll probably be next week too sometime, but we'll just see how the tests go. Anyway, thank you very much, and I will see you next week.